Welcome back to the Pickswise NFL Show. We're about to preview Week 13. Hopefully make you some money, make me some money, make everybody some money. I'm Rachael von Oranje, the host. Before we get into it, let us know your thoughts, comments down below, whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, however it is. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know the drill. Now, I'm always delighted to be joined by my usual co-host, the better half of the show. Coach Jeff Reinebold is with us today, coming in from England. This man is all over the place all the time. And then we have this week's guest is the big O. No, I'm not talking about last night. I'm talking about Orlando Alzugaray. Did I butcher that too much?
Yeah, no, you did. You did a really good job, actually. You added the Spanish element to it. I usually Americanize it and tell everybody to say Alzugaray, just to make it nice and easy. But yeah, that's it. I always tell them Al is in the name, Zoo is in animals, and Gary is in Gary, Indiana, and they usually get it pretty easy that way.
You know, I relate to you on a spiritual level whenever it comes to having to explain my last name and help people pronounce it, because I've heard it all from Oranje to Oranje to Orange to everything, but it's all right. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Jeff, real quick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, girl. It's great to be back home in the UK.
Back home in the UK. I love it. All right, guys. So before we get into Week 13, let's talk about Week 12. A lot happened. There's a lot to unfold here. Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs, they played some really, really good football down in Tampa. They ruined my bets on that game. 269 yards and 3 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then Pat Mahomes, don't forget about him. Okay. 4 touchdowns. He's now minus 278 for MVP. The Chiefs are plus 275 to win the Super Bowl. Can anybody stop them?
I don't see it right now. They're just the most complete team at this point. I look at the offense right now. The defense is also clicking. They got one of the best head coaches in the NFL that really knows how to use that offense to its potent max. And it's impressive right now, because there aren't really a lot of great teams in the NFL right now. And there may be only one, and I think it's Kansas City. Pittsburgh looks really good, but I still think that if both of them had to get into a shootout, you would need a younger Ben Roethlisberger to stay in this one. I don't think anybody can hang with the Chiefs this year.
What did you see, Jeff?
I thought a lot of the same things that O saw. You know, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is a bad man. I mean, he is a bad man. And when you put the kind of track team that they've got around him, you got to remember that the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, at the World Junior Championships as a 19-year-old kid, he won the gold medal in the 4x100. He got the silver medal in the 200 meters. So he's an Olympic track athlete. The NFL is full of guys that can run, but this cat can really run. And Todd Bowles, I'm sure, is kicking himself because he put Davis in a no-win situation. He's playing one-on-one coverage with no help over the top, and he'll just brutalize him in the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, he's definitely faster than me. That is for sure. Is there anything else, any other highlights or anything that stood out to you from Week 12?
I mean, stood out to me in Week 12. God, I'm trying to think. Well, you know, I think what stood out to me were the opportunities lost. The Vegas Raiders, that was a win that they had to have, and they came up short. San Francisco came up with a big win handling the Rams. I think it was the Rams, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
Was it San Fran that beat the Rams? The Rams were playing really well, and you lose to Nick Mullins and San Francisco. I thought that was a really bad thing. There were a couple of opportunities for teams this week to kind of lock things up. And, you know, Atlanta obviously handing a really ugly loss too. These are things that you had to take care of business, and certain teams had opportunities this week and really lost out because My Dolphins ended up winning this week. They had an easy game. They had a bye week against the Jets. And so now the Raiders and the Dolphins flip-flopped now. And so the Dolphins are taking care of business, but the Raiders did not. And now that game on the 26th is going to be really big for those final playoff spots. So I thought there were a couple teams this week that really missed out on an opportunity to set themselves apart and help nail a playoff spot.
Oh, how about the Cardinals? I mean, the Cardinals.
Yeah, there you go.
Lose to a quarterback who throws for 68 yards in the entire game. I mean,
was that Ryan Tannehill? Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Cam Newton. I'm sorry.
I mean, when you have to win in professional sports, when you're playing in the back half of the season, and I know this, in the last 10 Super Bowl winners, there's only been one that didn't have a winning record from Thanksgiving until the playoffs. And when you're like the Cardinals, they go to New England, and you've got a New England team that is struggling, and you can't close a deal. That tells me you're not a very good football team. And they're right. And Rachel, I got a news flash for you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm talking a news flash. So get ready.
Yeah.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Close.
Okay.
Cowboys suck. And they really suck. And I'm telling you, I'm off of them. I'm off of them for good because they are that girl with no teeth. I'm telling you, they're that.
Well, as long as you've got that owner there, you listen. When he won, he had a coach that could stand on his own in Jimmy Johnson, and then eventually he chased him out. He brought in another quality coach in Bill Parcells, and then eventually chased him out. He's had puppets from there on out. He's had guys that are yes men. And as long as you have that guy holding press conferences after games and cutting the knees off of every coach, the coach in that team will always lose respect very quickly in that locker room because the players know that he's not in charge. And right now it's also looking like a terrible hire because they're not looking like they're prepared as it is. But I got to tell you, the biggest problem for that team will always be Jerry Jones. And it's a shame because Steven and company have done a really good job with personnel. And you're not taking advantage of that personnel by coaching them up and putting a culture in that locker room that everybody can follow. But you'll never have a culture as long as the owner is running the team from above.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Thoroughly agree with that. And just to touch on my Falcons, nobody could have ever seen that coming. I certainly didn't see it coming. I have been cheering for the Raiders all year. I feel like Derek Carr's one of the most slept on, underrated quarterbacks in the league, and he was taking care of the ball before this game. And I don't know how you come in and you can't put up double digits at least on my Falcons trash defense. I'm happy for the Falcons, and then at the same time, I was kind of sad because, like I've said all year, I don't want them to win another freaking game. We're just lowering our draft stock at this point. But it still feels good to get that win. And then the Nick Mullins thing, you called that, Jeff. You called that. I believe that was your underdog, wasn't it?
I'm a Raiders fan, and I'm telling you, the Raiders, they thought it was Christmas, not Thanksgiving, because they're passing out turnovers 2 for 1. I mean, it was unbelievable how bad they played. I mean, John Gruden said it was like watching, getting his teeth pulled watching the film. I think he ought to go back and watch it again because it was worse than getting your teeth pulled. It was horrendous football.
That was unacceptable. Bad loss.
It was acceptable if you live in Atlanta. So, I mean, there's that.
By the way, let's see your coffee cup. Show the world your coffee cup. Yeah, girl.
There you go. There you go. So, hey, listen, I've been a Dolph fan since I was a child, and the last 20 years have not been very good to us. So, I'm liking what I'm seeing now because I think Chris Greer and Brian Flores have finally, get this thing turned around in the right direction. But I can feel for you, man, because the last 20 years were brutal for us down here.
Yes, definitely. And your Dolphins are definitely ahead of schedule, to be honest with you. I'm very impressed with them, and I'm loving that defense in fantasy football. I have them on one of my teams, man. They're putting up double digits every week, so it's good stuff. Now let's talk about Week 13. But actually, no. Real quick, every single show we do this really quick, where Jeff and I kind of compare how we did last week and whatnot. Not so good. Okay, I went 500, broke even. I went 2-4 against the spread with my Pickswise NFL Show picks. 2 out of 4 on the over/under. Jeff, you were 2-4 against the spread with your underdog winning, putting you at 8-4 on Dogs of the Year. Great work. You are 8-4 with your underdogs, Jeff. Yeah, how, baby, how? You got this stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We were talking about the Falcons, right? And that huge upset that they had over the Raiders. This week, they're going to be facing the Saints, but it's in Atlanta, okay? NFC South matchup. As of Wednesday, that's today, the day we film the show is Wednesdays. The Saints are favored by 3 points, and the point total is set at 46. Now, my Falcons, they dominated the Raiders. It was a huge win, 46-3. Nobody saw that coming. They were 3-point dogs. They ended up winning by 43 points. Now, the Saints, they beat the Broncos, who had a wide receiver playing quarterback, okay? They won 31-3. Taysom Hill, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Guys, 2 teams coming off of huge wins. The Saints won this matchup 2 weeks ago. But that was in Atlanta. So I revised what I said earlier. I guess the game is in New Orleans this week. My bad. But they won 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, and they're just trying to get through this year, get Drew Brees healthy again. Oh, what do you like about this matchup, and how do you feel about the spread?
All right. Obviously, I like New Orleans to win this game. They need this game, so I think that they'll win this game. But I love the over in this game. Atlanta can put up some points. That's the thing. Atlanta may suck, but go look at the scores all throughout the last month and a half. They're putting up points. So and they obviously put up some points on the Raiders last week. So for me, the over 46 is the number that I'm really attracted to, because I don't think it's like Atlanta may have done a nice job on the Raiders this past week. You're not going to do that this week against New Orleans. I think there's going to be some points on the board here. I love the over in this game.
Well, just before Jeff tells us what he sees, the point total has hit the over in 7 of New Orleans' 11 games, and it's also hit the under in 6 of Atlanta's 11 games. So that's a little food for thought there, but I definitely love the over as well here. Jeff, what do you see?
I'm with both of you on the over. Take the over. I think that's vastly underrated, that point total. I just want to give a shout out to my boy, Jeff Ulbrich, who's taken over as the defensive coordinator of the Falcons. He's a University of Hawaii guy. He played in the NFL for the 49ers. When Raheem got the head job, he elevated Jeff, and that defense has had an absolute personality change, and he's done a great job. I just don't know if they got enough players. When you start matching up the 2 teams, and you look at New Orleans personnel and you look at Atlanta's personnel, I think New Orleans has too many good football players. New Orleans is too good on defense. Taysom Hill is kind of an X-factor guy at quarterback. He's 2-0 as a starter, since Brees has been on the shelf. I just think there's too many reasons to like the Saints here, and the Saints have too much to play for. Having the Raiders, they're going to watch that Raider tape all week as they prepare for this game, and they're going to see, hey, if we don't take care of the ball, if we don't take care of our business, we ain't going to be the next Raiders going down into Atlanta and getting shelled. So I think New Orleans is playing great football right now, and I look for them to continue this week.
And so normally what I do is I go into the point total next, but we've already, all 3 of us said from the jump, we liked the over in this game. So just to elaborate a little bit more on this game, do you think that he is actually the future for the Saints organization, like they tried to kind of tell us in the offseason? Or do we get to a point where maybe he's not putting it in the air enough? Let's say that the Saints are playing from behind for some reason. He can't get the ball in the air. Should they consider Jameis Winston?
I think history will tell you, OJ, that if you look at the Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal. And has there been a guy who's won a Super Bowl who can't throw and win from the pocket? Trent Dilfer may be the only one that comes to my mind as a guy.
Actually, Peyton Manning, the last Peyton Manning, was the worst quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl. Okay,
Yeah.
I know the real Peyton Manning's a Hall of Famer. He's awesome and all that, but the Peyton Manning that won with the Broncos, that was a terrible Peyton Manning.
You got to give me a mulligan on that one because they had such a great defense. It was just like Baltimore.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Trent Dilfer.
Right.
Their defense won that Super Bowl for them. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if that's a sustainable product. That's the bottom line. We've seen it with Kaepernick. We've seen it with RG3. We're starting to see it with Lamar Jackson. And now, it's the Taysom Hill show. The one thing I will tell you, I know Sean Payton, and Sean Payton wants to be the smartest guy in the room. So if he has a chance, that's been his guy since they took him off the scrap heap when Green Bay cut him as a free agent rookie. So I think if Sean Payton has his choice, it'll be Taysom Hill. But bottom line is you got to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm not a Taysom Hill believer. There's no part of me believes that guy's going to be a real quarterback. I think he's a gimmick guy at best, and I also think this is a monster shot at Winston because you've been there for a while and you didn't impress enough to beat that guy out. That's a bad look for Jameis too.
Yeah, for sure. So just to wrap things up, everybody here in this room today loves the point total, loves the over on the point total, and we're all going with the Saints to cover by 3. But let me add a little caveat to this. I actually think I don't bet on games that involve my favorite team, but I'm actually going to take Atlanta to cover this game. So I'm going to go against both of you. I'm taking Atlanta to cover this game when this is one of the best rivalry games in the entire NFL. And if you don't know about it, now you do. It's a really big deal. And honestly, I know it's cliche to say this, but whenever they face each other, throw out all the records, okay? You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And I think that Atlanta hates the Saints just enough to keep it really, really close. And if I see that spread get bigger throughout the week, I'm definitely going with it. But we all got the over. These guys got the Saints. I got the Falcons covering, okay? Let us know what you think below in the comments. It's going to be Saints, Falcons, Taysom Hill. You know what I always say. I don't like to bet against the super religious quarterbacks because God is with them, okay? And I always end up losing. I end up at the crap end of the stick on that.
I don't know about that. Have you watched Carson Wentz? God left him, all right, because he's pretty religious, and boy, God forgot about him now. That's for sure.
He's paying his
injured. He injured him, and then Foles took over for the Super Bowl, and now he gives away footballs like he's Santa Claus, man. And they're about to boo him over there in Philadelphia because that's what they do. They boo Santa Claus.
He is so lucky they don't have fans in the stands in Philadelphia right now.
Oh wow, batteries.
Oh, I gotta. You're the Falcon expert here in this crew, right? So tell me, what do they got? 5 games left?
Before they play?
Give me the odds on Raheem Morris keeping that job and becoming the head coach in Atlanta?
I don't think there's a shot in hell, to be honest with you. I think that they want to go offensive, and I think they're going to throw everything that they can at trying to get Eric Bieniemy. And their biggest advantage over the Texans with that is that, for like desirable destinations, I believe it is because they actually have draft picks, as to which the Texans do not. And, the Falcons haven't had a ton of success throughout their organization, throughout history. Neither have the Texans, obviously. But I do believe that the perception, I believe that people think higher of Arthur Blank than they do of Cal McNair, who just inherited his late father's team. So I think that they're going to go all in on Eric Bieniemy, but if not, they're going to try to go offensive, okay? But anyways, we're going to wrap this section up. And you guys mentioned the Eagles. So let's just go ahead and get into the Eagles, into Philly, okay? 4:25 Eastern time, the Eagles at the Packers. As of Wednesday, the Packers are favored by 8 points. The point total is set at 49. Now, the Packers, they beat down the Bears 41-25 at Lambeau Field. Aaron Rodgers throws 4 touchdowns in a win that puts them in a commanding position atop the NFC North. Now, the Eagles, I don't know who the hell they are, what the heck's going on in that entire division. The NFC least, we like to call it. They're coming off of a 23-17 loss to the Seahawks. They're now 3-7-1 in the NFC East, and somehow we are this late into the year, and a 3-win team is still in contention to play. They're playing meaningful games, okay, in November. It's ridiculous. Jeff, the Packers, they were favored by a similar margin last week, and they covered easily against the Bears. Do the Eagles get within 8? Do they even have a chance of winning this game? They beat them last year, okay? But can this even happen for them, or should everybody just put their money on the Packers to cover? Oh, I'll start with you.
All right. Listen, I don't think the Eagles are going to win here. I think the Packers will win. The problem I have with this game is that the Eagles are kind of, you don't really know what's going to happen with them. And they have enough talent to make things interesting. So that 8-point line makes me a little bit nervous, and the Packers also have let me down at times this year where you thought that they would show up in certain games and they didn't. So this is the kind of game that I'm going to stay away from. This is the kind of game that, it's because of the Eagles being so helter-skelter. I don't know what's going to show up. And Carson Wentz has been he's actually been consistently inconsistent, actually, throughout the year. And that's also going to serve into this game and help, the Packers out. I think Green Bay wins this game, but when it comes to the betting, I probably would stay away from this one.
Jeff, what do you like?
I think the 8 makes me a little nervous too. And then I watch the tape and I see the Philadelphia Eagles secondary was practicing social distancing between them and DK Metcalf. Because, they weren't anywhere around him. And you think about it, DK can get off like that. What is Devontae Adams going to do to that secondary? And the Packers are healthier now than they've been all year long. The Packers defense scares me still. The Eagles they're not a great offense. As a matter of fact, I think they're in the bottom 5 or 6 in the league in scoring offense. But the Packers defense sometimes is a little bit like a middle-aged man. They're really soft around the middle. And I don't, so I just really feel like this one, 8 scares me. But if you got to bet it, I'd take the Packers.
You would take the Packers to cover, huh? I'm going to take the Eagles to actually cover the spread. They're absolutely 100 million% not going to win this game. Okay. But I'm going to take them to cover the spread. The Eagles defense, I believe, is a little more, you talked about what they gave up, 177 yards, I think it was, to DK Metcalf on 10 out of 13 reception. Darius Slay literally got slayed in that game. Okay. I've been waiting to use that all week. Thank you very much. But no, he got completely slayed.
And that penalty, by the way, that penalty Slay picked up early in that game affected how he played the rest of that game. And he had to be very careful on that one. And that really hurt him early on in that game.
Yeah. And he was questioned about it afterwards. I saw a press conference and he got a little heated, a little mouthy, with the press. And they asked him, do you think that you needed help? Should the Eagles defense have put more of a focus on getting you some help whenever you're matched up against them? And he was like, hell no, I don't need no help, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, bro, yeah, you did. I didn't even have to watch the game. You can just look at the score to know that you needed some damn help. But with all that being said, I think he comes into this game a little angry. It's a little bit of redemption here for him. And like I said, they're not going to win the game, but the defense is good enough, I think, for them to cover. Okay, so Philadelphia, they're 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 games. The total has hit the under in all 5 of Philly's last 5 games. I believe they're one of only 2 teams. I think it's the Eagles and the Jets. Neither one of them have scored 30 points this season at all. Who knows if we see Jalen Hurts? We're not sure, but I'm taking them to cover. I know Jeff said he's taking the Packers to cover.
If I have to lean, I'll take I'll give the points. There's no way I would trust Philadelphia. I would trust Wentz to throw the ball away a little bit, even though that 8 points makes me nervous. If I have to lean somewhere, I'm definitely with you guys. I'm going Packers and I'm laying the 8.
Okay. All right. And what do you guys, I'll start with you. What do you think about the point total set at 49?
I'm not going to touch that one. I would probably stay away from that one. You were talking about it. They haven't really gone, to that 30-point mark. I think there'll be some points on the board, but this is such an unpredictable game that it could be one where the Eagles struggle with the offense. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I would probably stay away from that total.
Yeah, you're talking about 50 points now, right? And that's just too much.
49.
Yeah, but Green Bay's going to have to carry the load if they're going to score 50 and go with the over. So I'd take the under in that thing. I agree with both of you.
Yeah, I felt really confident last week that the Packers-Bears game would be under, right? And 41-25, it wasn't no thing at all. Like the Bears defense didn't even show up. So I'm with these point totals as we get later in the year. Early on, Jeff, in the show, it was the over. Now, as we get later in the season, we're seeing a lot more of these unders hit. So I'm really torn on this one as well. Like I said, if I'm betting my own money, I'm not touching the point total. It's something I'd probably live bet halfway through the game, maybe at halftime or something, see how the flow and the cadence of the game is going. But since we're here on the show and we're making a pick right here on Wednesday, I'm going to go with the over. And I think most of it will probably be, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to do Aaron Rodgers things. I do think that there's a good chance that we might see Jalen Hurts come in. And I know that he only threw like one pass last week, but it was a completion. And it looked a lot better than what I've been seeing from Carson Wentz. I didn't understand the point of having him come in just to throw one ball. I wish that we could have seen more. But with that being said, woman's intuition, I'm thinking the over, okay? So to wrap things up, the guys are going with the Packers to cover. I think that the Eagles cover in this game. I also think the point total goes over. And I believe Jeff and O both said that they like the under, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. Who's crazy, who's not. Am I crazy for having any faith in the Eagles offense whatsoever? Probably. Okay, but let us know in the comments what you got. And guys, let's get on to Sunday night football, okay? Prime time. Kansas City at Denver. Not a very good matchup. I wish that we could flex this game. As of Wednesday, the Chiefs are favored by 13.5 points, and the point total is set at 50 points. Now, the Chiefs, last week, they rolled into Tampa. They beat the Bucs 27-24. And if you didn't think they were the best team in the NFL, then now you know. Or you either know that now or you might be a Steelers fan. Broncos fans, you've got to feel sorry for them. I know I do. They had a horrible situation with the quarterbacks last week where all their starters were ruled out due to COVID and not wearing masks and breaking all the rules. And Kendall Hinton taking snaps as a quarterback in this league is not easy, right? I'm sure he would agree. Jeff, the Broncos expect Drew Lock to come back this week. Is he going to be their savior whatsoever? Can they cover 13.5? I'll start with you.
All right. They definitely can cover 13.5. And Drew has a tendency of throwing the ball away. So I think this might be also an opportunity for the Chiefs to pile on. And then if they've got a comfortable lead, that's going to put more pressure on the kid to try to throw the ball and stay with Pat Mahomes. And if you see a little bit of Drew Lock and what you've seen of him, at least for the last year and a half, you can tell that he's a kid that has a little moxie in him. And when he sees Mahomes slinging the ball all over the place, he's going to feel and think that he can do the same thing. And then that's when he's going to get in trouble. So I would say that this is the kind of game that they definitely could cover. I'm not comfortable in giving those kind of points in an NFL game, but there's no doubt that it's a possibility because of the youth and inexperience of that quarterback at that spot. And the Broncos aren't really a good offense as it is. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge for them.
I think you're right. You look at this thing and you say, Drew Lock, he's just another in the long line of misses that Elway's had as a drafting quarterbacks. And here's a guy that played the position at the highest level and can't seem to evaluate him because, whether it's Brock Osweiler or Simeon or any of the guys that he's anointed as his quarterback, they've been abject failures. And I think Locke is the next in that line. The best quarterback in Denver, in my opinion, is Ripien, and he's going to sit on the bench for the game probably until Locke throws enough interceptions that he gets jerked. But when you're talking about NFL football, professional football, 13.5-point spread is gigantic. I mean, that is prohibitive spread. This is the game again that I would stay away from. Denver can play a little defense, but they're not going to score very many points. The only way they cover, in my opinion, is if, as you said, Locke starts handing out interceptions and they get short fields and it starts to snowball on them. So again, I would not bet this game if it was me. If I had to choose a team, I'd take the Chiefs on the money line. If I would say, they say you can't bet the money line, you got to bet. It's 13.5 is a big one, man. That is a big spread.
Yeah, I always have issues with spreads that large in the NFL because at the end of the day, they're all still professionals, right? This is college, you see this stuff a lot, but in the NFL, that is.
Yeah, this is men playing men.
Right, exactly. So you guys, though, I'm kind of unclear. Now, mind you, I know none of us really like this game to bet on. It's scary,
I
right?
like it, yeah.
But if you had to, let's just say Pickswise gave you $100 to throw in the game.
Lay the points.
Yeah.
Lay the
Okay.
points.
So you have the Chiefs with points. Jeff, we don't like the spread, right?
I'd do the same thing. I'd say if you gave me $100, I'd throw it on the Chiefs and say that Locke will hand it to them enough times on short fields that they'll win by 14.
Okay. This is tough. Denver's averaging 19 points per game this season, man. It's hard. And Kansas City is averaging 31.6, damn near 32 points a game. It's so tough. But oh man, 13.5 points. I'm really struggling with this one. And my record right now has dipped so low against Jeff that I'm putting a lot of thought, a lot of effort into this because I want to get it right.
See, you're going to be Drew Lock in Kansas City, and you're trying to catch up, and you're going to make mistakes because you're trying to force it. Exactly.
Never press your bets. But you know what?
Nope.
This is seriously, and I'm not trying to sway your thoughts, but this is the ultimate trap game because it's a divisional rival game. They're on the road. They come off of a huge win against the team that everybody said that's a preview of the Super Bowl. Everybody's been telling them all week how great they are. Now we'll see how good Andy is at refocusing his team because I'm going to tell you, in pro football, they can beat your butt. Anybody can beat your butt if you don't go in and play.
Yeah, any given Sunday. The game is in Kansas City, just to be clear about that. I think I misspoke earlier. But I'm going to, you talk about trap game, it's late in the season. The Chiefs they have no threat. I feel like this game probably means more to the Broncos than it does to the Chiefs. 13.5 is really big. I'm going to take the Broncos to cover 13.5 in this game. And the point total, I actually like the under. It's at 50 points, okay? Oh, what do you think about the point total?
I like the under, actually, because I don't think Denver's going to put up a lot of points, and Kansas City could get bored midway through the third. And who knows? I mean, yeah, seriously. I mean, this could be one of those games that they're up comfortably, and they could get bored at that point and just run the ball. Because Reed's not that guy that's going to put 62 points on your head. If he sees that it's out of control, he'll kind of let up the gas a little bit and hit cruise control. So I would probably stay under that number.
Oh, dude, think about this. And this is why when I said on the road, I'm talking about Denver on the road because there's a mentality that you get as a road team where you go into to the champion's house and it kind of galvanizes your team, to play hard. But I think with the great thing you hit on, brother, was the fact that if there's a chink in the Kansas City armor, if there's something that's a little, they have exhibited a couple times that they don't really have a killer instinct. When you have a team that's supposed to be your Super Bowl rival down 17-0 in the first quarter, you bury them. I mean, you don't win 27-24. You bury them. And that's one thing that I see in the Chiefs that scares me just a little bit.
Yeah, and if there was a chink in the armor defensively for them, it would be the run game, right? The secondaries pretty dang good. And, all the way around, their defense is good. But if you had to pick a weakness for them, it'd be their run game. So you like the over, the under, and the point total, Jeff?
I like the under.
You like the under. So we all three agree. We all three like the under. These two guys are taking the Chiefs to cover 13.5 points in the NFL. And I'm going to take these guys to cover 13.5. Pride is on the line, okay? Jobs are on the line. They're going to get it done covering, not winning, covering. All right, guys, let us know in the comments below what you think. Am I crazy? Again, probably yes for thinking that the Broncos can cover in this game. Let me know. Let me know. Come at me, bro. Let us know. All right, everybody, it's time for our Pickswise Parlay of the Week, and that is where each of us will give you a pick for this week's slate of games that we feel really confident about that you can build a parlay around, okay? I'll go ahead and get started really quick and give you guys my pick of the week. I have the Colts beating the Texans, and I believe that they will beat them handily. Right now, on Wednesday, they're favored by 3. That's a value of minus 115, so you put $115 down to win $100. I think it's a good investment that you can make. The Colts all the way around have a fantastic roster that their GM has built and drafted over there for them. And it really just comes down to this. Phillip Rivers, nothing to write home to mom about, but he's had some really good and surprising victories this season against some really good contending teams, which has kind of made me more of a believer in him. But I'm definitely a believer in that roster. And the Texans, man, they were already bad and already in bad shape. And it's been a terrible year for them. And, with Bill O'Brien being gone, the team seemed to have a new little bit of life that they got gathered from that, a second win, so to speak. However, this week you lose your number one wide receiving target. So you lose DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason. And now you lose Will Fuller to PEDs. You also, Bradley Roby, okay, one of their better pieces in the secondary. You lose him to PEDs. There's so many distractions for the Texans. The defense was already garbage to begin with. I think that the Colts are just going to run the ball and pass the ball just down their throats. I think it's going to be a huge beatdown by much more than 3. So I have the Colts winning in Houston this weekend. Oh, who do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you picked that because as a Dolphins fan, guess who owns the Texans' first and second round picks? Yeah, baby. So Houston can't lose enough for us, man. Bill O'Brien, baby, the modern day Mike Lynn. You got to love him. All right. For you youngins out there that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, Mike Lynn traded a whole bunch of picks from Minnesota to Jimmy Johnson for Herschel Walker, and the rest is history. And there you go, just in case if you didn't get on that reference. But anyway, I'm going to go Dolphins. I'm going to go with the homer pick. Why? Because it's the Bengals. They're only one of the worst teams in the league, worst run teams in the league. We were talking about Jerry Jones earlier. What about Mike Brown? That's even worse than Jerry Jones. Okay. He's incompetent and cheap. So I like the Dolphins in this one. A little stat that a lot of people may not realize about the Dolphins. They've won 5 games this year by 11 or more points. The point spread is 11.5. There's no Joe Burrow in there. Rachel, you were talking about the defense for the Dolphins that you're cashing in on fantasy. Well, guess what? You get to cash in again because that defense is going to maul those Bengals. And I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier Howard picks up another interception. Ogba gets a couple of sacks. Somebody returns something for a touchdown. I think Miami's going to win big in this one, and this will be their 6th game that they win by more than 11 points this year. Another thing that people may not realize, with the win last week, they're now 12-8. After starting 0-7 last year, because they finished 5-4 and now they're 7-4. So this is a team that's going to go 8-4 now. And so you're talking about a 13-8 record in their last 21 games. The turnaround here has been amazing. I think they'll be focused and they'll take care of business against the Bengals.
I love that pick. Jeff, what do you like this week?
I love both your picks. I really do. Because you look at O's pick and you just say, no Joe Burrow, no Joe Mixon, no chance. Not against that Dolphins defense. Not a chance. Now, DeForest Buckner's coming back off of COVID for Indianapolis. And that'll be a game changer inside because we really missed him last week. And I know you don't think about defensive players being that impactful in a game, but DeForest Buckner's a different cat. So I think those are great picks. I'm going to go, and this ain't a pick by my heart. I'm telling you, it's not, really not. The Raiders.
Wow.
I love the Raiders, and I love them against the Jets because the Jets are flat ass bad. I mean, BAD bad. 16 points a game in the National Football League, and it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. They've given away all their best players. When your best player on offense is your rookie left tackle, you're in trouble. And that's who they are. I think Carr's going to bounce back. Raiders have a lot to play for. They're on the bubble as a wild card team, and they need this game, so they will not overlook the Jets after last week.
I love all of our picks. We all have picks near and dear to our hearts. You guys kind of picked your favorite teams. I am not a Texans fan, but I live here in Houston, so there's kind of some relevance there. But I love all of y'all's picks. Some pretty big spreads for the both of you, though. You know what I mean? That's a lot. And really quick, we're talking about the Jets. Why are they starting Sam Darnold? Because I thought Joe Flacco honestly kind of looked like he gave the offense a little bit of life. I mean, is it just because you kind of have to?
Rachel, no, you can't do that. If you go to Joe Flacco, then Adam Gase can definitely ride his ticket out, even though he's probably going to get fired. But since he's considered the QB guru, not, but whatever, and that's the guy you drafted, that's the guy you need to develop. If you go to Joe Flacco, you have now given up on Sam Darnold, and you've sent a terrible message. And then there's no need for Adam Gase. The reason you brought him there was because you thought he was going to be this offensive guru and he was going to develop your future quarterback because that's the label he had. So he has to live and die with Sam Darnold. If he goes to Joe Flacco, he can pretty much write his pink slip right there. They may even fire him, right, which the Jets don't like to do. They don't like to fire coaches in season. You do that, that may drive them to actually fire him in season because now you have given up on your what was supposed to be the future at quarterback.
I heard it said this way, and I think it's really true. Exactly what you're talking about. When you're a first-round quarterback, you have to prove you can. When you're anybody else, you have to prove you can. And there's a big difference in those two. They're going to give him every snap to the last gasp of this season to prove, just to show, maybe, just maybe, he can show that he was worth a first-round pick. They are laughing all over the league at the whole deal because the kid had never gotten it done. And he's the same guy. If you go back, you look at him at USC when he came out.
Turnover machine at USC, man.
Exactly.
He was a turnover machine at USC. Yeah.
But here's what happens, and I'm in the industry, so I know. You get this. Coaches have egos. You don't coach unless you got a big ego, and it's always going to be, I can fix him. I can coach him better. Right. I can show him. Let me tell you something. Hard to get a quarterback who's not accurate to become an accurate guy, and that's Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to have the first overall pick, right? I think everybody knows that. And who might possibly be there should he declare for the draft?
Trevor
Lawrence,
Trevor,
right there. So they're probably trying to figure out who they are going to draft, whether they stick with Sam or they draft him. All right, guys, that's our Pickswise parlay of the week. Big O, he's got the Dolphins favored by 11.5 over Cincy. Jeff has the Raiders -8 over the Jets, and I have the Colts -3 covering for sure versus the Texans. That's your Pickswise parlay of the week. Be sure to leave some comments below and let us know if you made some money with our picks, or maybe some of your picks that you like that maybe I could try out this week. All right, let us know down below. Thank you. All right, guys, it's time for my favorite segment of the show. It's the Pickswise Underdogs of the Week. Self-explanatory enough, right? We're going to pick underdogs that we think can cover or maybe even win. Who knows? And you guys, you should be able to make some money off of that with some high value. We actually are the best. Jeff and I are the best at this segment than we are at any other segment of the show. I love it, okay? So Jeff is 8-4 on the season with his underdog picks, which is ridiculous. I love it though. I love it. And I started off the season really strong, but now I'm sitting at 500. I'm at 6-6. So no pressure here. Oh, no pressure. You know what? I'll just go ahead and start with you. Oh, who's your underdog of the week?
All right, I'm actually going to go with the Detroit Lions. Why? Because it's Mardi Gras week in Detroit. That's right. They fired Matt Patricia. They got rid of the GM too. They said, oh, we got to start clean here. And guess what happens in a locker room usually when they fire a coach? People celebrate. People play better. They open up a little bit. I think the Detroit Lions are going to celebrate. Remember that Stafford didn't really back him up a couple weeks ago when asked. So it was one of those deals that I think that this locker room is going to be happy. The performance is going to be good. Plus, you've got Mitch Trubisky, who is kind of like Santa Claus, like Carson Wentz. He loves to give it away. They like to do a little Red Hot Chili Peppers. Give it away, give it away, give it away, y'all. So I am going to go with the Detroit Lions +3 against the Bears. I'm going to count on Trubisky to give it away. I'm going to count on Stafford to just ball out. And I've got the Lions. Maybe they even win this game. Not only, come within the points, maybe they actually win too.
I love your pick. And I have both won money this year and lost money, i.e. last week with the Lions. They're, you never know what you're going to get with them from week to week. If they get Kenny Golladay back, also that's a game changer for Matt Stafford. But just so you know, I have a couple of rules whenever it comes to gambling that people know on this show. But one of them is that I do not bet on any game that involves the Bears. I'm terrible with them. I hate them. I hate that franchise. They can go to hell. But you have convinced me I might actually put some of my own money on this game, okay? I love your Lions pick. Jeff, who do you got?
I got the New England Patriots against the Chargers. Now, the game started at 2.5, and now I think it's like 1.5 or 1. But I think the Patriots are going to beat the Chargers. The Chargers have won 3 games all year. The defense has been hurt. They vastly underperform each week. They got a rookie quarterback. And, one of the things you know about Bill Belichick is he is deadly against rookie quarterbacks. He will make it really hard on Justin Herbert. So I think that the Patriots front 7 on defense is playing better than they have. I mean, Cam threw for 68 passing yards last week, and they were able to beat a playoff contender in Arizona. So I think if that's the case, they can go west and beat a 3-win Charger team.
And they got a nice and New England secondary will also create problems for that young quarterback. And they find ways to lose. I love your pick.
Yeah, that's a great point. The Chargers do find ways to lose, despite Herbert being one of the highlights of the young players coming out this year. Jeff, I can't give you the same accolades that I gave O on this pick. I don't feel good about it. I don't know. I'm 68 yards. 68 yards from Cam Newton, who was once an MVP. Used to put it in the air. It's crazy. But anyways, I'll go ahead and give you my pick. I think Jeff doesn't like this pick either. I have the London Jaguars. They are going to cover. They're 10-point underdogs to Minnesota Vikings. Mike Glennon, I guess, it shows on my screen here that Gardner Pornstash Minshew is questionable. But producer Ben swears Mike Glennon is starting. Look, Minnesota's defense, trash. They even let the Cowboys, put up so many points on them last week. And look, the Jags, they were within, I think Mike Glennon had them within 2 points of the Browns. Like, come on now. They can cover. They've done it for me before in this segment, back whenever I chose them against the Packers. Okay, they came in and covered there. They're going to cover this week. That is your Pickswise underdogs of the week, guys. O's got the Lions +3. Jeff's got the Patriots +1. And I've got the Jags +10. Any parting thoughts on my pick, guys? Anybody? Nothing?
You are a gambler. That's what I'll say. You are a gambler.
I live on the wild side.
Huh?
I live on the wild side.
I love it because you are not afraid. You are not scared. That's one thing I know for sure. You are not scared.
No, right. And my account on my sportsbook shows that I have not been scared. But no, guys, that's it. Pickswise Parlay of the Week. Lions, Pats, Jags. Go out, make yourself some money, and let us know in the comments below what you got. All right, there you have it. Oh, it is now time for you to depart from us. But it's been such a pleasure, such a joy having you on. I love your energy. Thank you so much for coming on the Pickswise NFL Show. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can hear you.
Well, appreciate it as always. Thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Big O Show. You can also catch us at Onside Radio. Go to onsideradio.com. Check it out. We're on every day, Eastern Time, 11 to 1 p.m. It's the Onside Zone with Big O. So if you can, check us out on Twitter at Big O Show, and everything is there.
Hey, if you ever get over to the Big Island, man, give me a call. I ain't hard to find.
All right, Jeff. Kind of a weird week, right? COVID, coronapocalypse. 2020 has hit the NFL and has affected the scheduling greatly. Monday and Tuesday is going to be fun. We get 3 games on Monday and Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. But the lines are not out yet. As you in the audience know, we film on Wednesdays. And right now, the Steelers and the Ravens are playing. So those lines haven't been dropped. But what we can get into is Monday Night Football game with the Bills at the 49ers. And as of today, the Bills are favored by 2.5 points, and the point total is set at 48. Now, the Bills, they're coming off of that 27-17 win over the Chargers. They went into LA. They took care of business. And the 49ers, well, they also had a really big game in LA. You know, NFC West, I say it every time one of these divisional matchups comes up, where you just never know who's going to win. Throw out all the records, okay? The 49ers, they beat the Rams. You said the Rams would overlook them, and they did. And Deebo Samuel, he had a hell of a day, okay? Jeff, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, will the Bills win comfortably? I would have said yes. The Niners, I would have said, I don't know, knowing about all these injuries. What do you think about this game? Do the Niners even have a chance? Or do they get kind of grounded and back down to the reality this week versus the Bills?
They got a chance because they're healthier than they've been all year. They're starting to see Richard Sherman's back playing. There's been an awful lot of injuries in San Francisco all year long. What's crazy about this game to me, Rachel, is they're going to have to go to Arizona to play the game because the city of Santa Clara won't allow, because of COVID restrictions now, they won't allow a game in their home stadium. So they're going to play this thing in Phoenix. And if you remember, the last time the Bills were in that stadium, it was the Hail Murray play that got. And so there's some bad, as we say in Hawaii, mana in that stadium for Buffalo. Buffalo's got to come in, and they got to recognize this is a really good San Francisco team. Their record may not show it, but they have as many signature wins, the 49ers do, as either Arizona or the Rams. The Rams have only beaten 2 teams, Seattle and Tampa Bay, with winning records. And right. Arizona's the same way. So San Francisco is better than a lot of people think. I think that Buffalo will recognize that. Buffalo is playing to win a division. And that's a big, big thing in Buffalo. Buffalo's reasonably healthy. And I just think that, to ask Nick Mullins to go and beat that Buffalo team, score enough points to beat a very good Buffalo team, I think is a very tall ask. So I'm going to take Buffalo in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo as well. Buffalo, they have to win this game. Absolutely have to. I think that the 49ers are going to come back down to earth, but there is a lot to be said for the fact that, I've said it to you multiple times. I'm a huge, huge, huge Kyle Shanahan fan, and he seems to get the most out of his players, no matter who he has to put out there. And, Salah, he can scheme a defense, can he? So I'm definitely going with the Bills, though, because it is such a small spread. It's 2.5. What do you think about the point total, though, Jeff? 48 points. Is that too high or too low?
I think it's a little too high. I think both these teams have got better than average defenses. The Bills are kind of hit and miss a little bit on defense, but they'll play. I just can't see San Francisco scoring 21 points in the game. And the Bills, San Francisco, as you said, Robert Saleh, he's coaching for a lot right now because with all of these jobs open, here's a kid that grew up 3 miles from the Lions facility. So there's already a bunch of talk in Detroit about him coming home as the head coach of the Lions. So he knows he's on center stage. And I think his guys will perform. So I think it's going to be a relatively lower scoring game than people think. I'm going with the under.
Going with the under. I don't know about the point total in this one. It's another one where I'm more favorable of kind of getting it live, maybe at halftime or whatever. But I'm going to go with the over. And, I think very highly of the Bills offense and the versatility, with Singletary and what he can do in the passing game and the running game. And they can run the ball. Josh Allen can run the ball himself if he has to. And I was thinking about how the 49ers, so when DK Metcalf went off against the Eagles the other night and got, I think it was 177 yards, I saw Eagles fans all kind of giving Darius Slay and giving the Eagles secondary a hall pass, saying, well, nobody can cover DK Metcalf. They're acting like it's just normal for every 100 yards to DK Metcalf, like he's just the second coming of God or something. I looked at it, and the only other team who had given up those type of numbers to DK Metcalf was the 49ers. And I don't remember the exact number. I think it was close to 170, maybe 160, something like that. So I think that a dude like Stephon Diggs can have a really big day. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the over on this one. But, you present a very valid argument as well, Jeff. There you have it. Bills, 49ers, Monday Night Football. Let us know in the comments below what you think. All right, everybody. We're going to wrap it all up with our Pickswise Lock of the Week. We're both going to give you a lock. Hopefully, you can go get some money. All right, Jeff, I'll start with you. Who is your Pickswise Lock of the Week?
I got to give you some props because, I've learned a lot from you during doing this show. And one of the things is your female intuition is like wired tight. And your call against Houston, taking Indianapolis by 3 over Houston, mm-hmm. I love it. I think that's a right on dead skunk. Bet your money right now and get some cheddar win.
I love that pick too. I mean, obviously great minds think alike, right? But there is always a little bit of question, at least for me, and I think with other people too. Phillip Rivers. I just feel like I never know who I'm gonna get, but I don't know. Like, do you have how far can he actually propel the Colts this year? Because the roster's there, right? The roster's there. The coaching is there. Is he good enough to move that ship forward into the postseason?
You made some great points when we talked about the game, OJ. They've got a great roster, right? Now, they didn't play great last week, but again, one of your kingpins on defense was out of the game. And all Phillip Rivers needs to do is manage the game. He doesn't have to make a billion
right.
to win. You look at it on the other side, and you take Fuller away, and now it's another weapon gone in Houston. And then you take Roby off that defense, and now who's going to cover Ty Hilton? There's a lot. You can't lose frontline players, especially really good frontline players. And so I think Indianapolis has way too much to play for, is way more talented, and the only chance that Houston has is if Deshaun Watson just goes unconscious like he can do.
Right. Yeah, he definitely would have to play probably one of the best games of his entire life to win this game, I think. You talk about Phillip Rivers, all he needs to do is manage the game. He doesn't need to do too much, right? Well, there's another team, and it involves in my lock of the week, where we have a quarterback who really, you don't want him trying to take over a game. You kind of just want him to manage it and run the ball really well. I don't think they're going to get it done this week, though. That is the Cleveland Browns are going to play the Tennessee Titans, who just, I struggled with this pick a lot. Definitely money line Tennessee Titans. Now, the spread right now that I'm seeing is 5.5. I think on some other books it's 6. That's a big spread. I'm going to wait a little bit later on in the week to see if that thing shrinks just a little bit. But I absolutely love the Titans to win money line. I was looking at some of the Browns' losses, and the one that had one of the biggest gaps, because they tend to play teams close, right? They play teams really close. One of the most lopsided losses that the Browns have had was against the Steelers. And I looked at the running back stats in that game, and they let James Conner go off for over 100 yards on them. Well, if James Conner and the Steelers, who have been very, unstable with running the ball, if they could let that team run the ball down their throats like that, tell me Derrick Henry can't do the same thing, because I know that he can. And I love the system that they have in Tennessee with the play action. Tannehill's been playing really well. I think Vrabel is a really good coach. I'm definitely taking the Titans to win money line. And if the spread shrinks a little bit, I'm jumping on it real quick. But right now, 5.5, I'll still take it. I'll take it. All right. So there you have it. Our Pickswise locks of the week. Jeff, you have any thoughts on the Browns Titans?
I agree with you. Now look at everybody's getting off on the Browns right now because they've won 8 football games, right? And that's great. You can't take that away from them. But last week in the game against Jacksonville, on the road in Jacksonville, Baker Mayfield twice misses guys wide open in the end zone. And then they get a 4th and 1 with like 4 minutes left to go in the game. And if you pick it up, the game's over. And rather than kick the field goal, Stefanski decides to go for it, and they can't get it. They don't convert on 4th and 1, and then they got to come down and fight their tail off to win the game against Jacksonville. Now you got to go play Tennessee. You can't do that against Tennessee and expect you're going to cover.
And that wraps up a great show, Jeff. I had a blast with you as always. Our guest, Big O, he brought the energy down there all the way down in the 305 MIA. That's the Pickswise NFL Show, wrapping up week 13. We'll be back next week to preview week 14. And just a little heads up, we have a really big guest in store for you guys. I cannot wait to drop the bombs. Stay tuned. Follow Pickswise on Twitter, all your social media outlets, and you will know who that surprise guest is going to be. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to leave comments, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And remember, gamble responsibly. Good luck, everybody.